This all started on Tuesday when the 65-year-old suspect is said to have snatched the boy from his school bus, killing the driver who tried to stop him, and then retreated with the child into this bunker. Police in the area say he is volatile, that he's threatened his neighbors at gunpoint in the past and done some other horrific things. Part of what makes this so tough is where the man is hiding. Look at this. Well, this says 6 by 8 foot. Earlier, Elizabeth Pran said it was a 6 by 4 foot bunker that was 8 feet deep underground with what could be enough supplies to hold out for days. Can you imagine this poor little boy who's locked in there with this man after seeing him kill his bus driver? Joining us now is someone who is working with the police agencies on the site. His name is Cohen. All right, we're trying to get him hooked up, so hold on, give us a minute while we work out our technical difficulty. I want to get to Trace Gallagher, who's just going to give us the very latest from the scene. Trace?
And I want to go back, if you can, very quickly, Megyn, to that graphic you just had up there of kind of the inside of the bunker, what they believe to be the inside workings of this bunker, because the big question now remains is how much food does he have in there? We've talked about the fact that they're kind of communicating and sending medicine through this PVC pipe going down into this thing. The question now remains is how long can they remain in there? Is there adequate water? Is there adequate food? And one of the key questions in this entire case is what is the mental capacity now of the man who is holding this 5-year-old boy hostage, and is he near the breaking point? He is still communicating, and experts say that's a very good sign that he's still communicating and talking. When communications break down is when things begin to go south, and the experts will really start to worry. Clearly they're worried now, but one of their big concerns now is making sure that they keep the conversation going and trying to figure out exactly how sustainable that bunker is for this 5-year-old boy, Megyn.
Wow. All right, Trace, thank you. We've got our guest with us now. His name is Cohen. He's a former Israeli counter-terrorist hostage rescue operator who now trains law enforcement and instructors around the world and actually has some connections to the law enforcement officers involved in this case. Aaron, thanks so much for being here. I know you know the sheriff well, and you've been in contact with some of the police agencies. You've worked with some of them on site. Just first of all, do you have any information from those contacts on the very latest in Alabama now?
There's nothing new developing from the actual situation on the ground, Megyn, but what I can tell you is that it's a very unconventional, complex operation in terms of SWAT tactics. And the reason why is because what we have is a specific individual who's bunkered down in practically a hole. So one of the concerns right now is that a tactical option is very unorthodox. It's going to be very difficult to use a physical plan to actually go in there and get him. Having said that, there's always a way to come up with a solution, but that's not really the goal of the SWAT team, Megyn. I think right now the focus is on really just trying to de-escalate the situation. That's what the local sheriff really stressed, and by de-escalating the situation, what it does is by putting time over a situation, especially with something like a hostage siege, it really tends to just kind of calm things down, which is really one of the first operational goals with this type of mission.
So time may work in their favor then, extending this day after day. That may actually help save the little boy.
It might, and it's important, and what you said is really important. The goal here is to save the child. This is not a conventional barricaded subject, which is what we refer to in the law enforcement community. That's when you have a criminal who's barricaded himself. There's no hostages. He's not shooting. They can go in there and get him. It's a lot easier typically with the hostage. It's more complicated because the first goal operationally is to free him unharmed, which means that by spending this time to calm things. Go ahead.
How do you do it, Aaron? I mean, as somebody who's been responsible for this, how do you convince a guy who is said to have just murdered a bus driver in order to get his hands on a little boy, who I'm not even going to get into the torture that he put the neighbor's dog through, but this is a disturbed man. How do you convince someone like that to let this little boy, who he wanted so badly, he killed the bus driver, to let him go?
Well, it's a great question, Megyn. What you want to do is you want to try and connect with him on a couple of different levels and really just sort of figure out what's making him tick. The goal here is to not make too many concessions, but to at least try and get him to let the boy go by connecting with him on, I guess, more of a cerebral level if you can, having someone come in, have people come in that he may know. But really in the backdrop, there's the other things that are happening, which is really trying to figure out a way to possibly make some type of physical entry. This slowing down process buys times for these SWAT operators. Let me just make it clear. The FBI has sent their hostage rescue team. It's a national team. They're one of the top hostage rescue tactical teams in the world. This is all they train in. They're a full-time interdiction unit.
Do you
this
think
time that's dragging?
Sorry, our satellite feed is confusing you and me, but do you think it's a good sign that they have apparently, he's allowed medication to be delivered to the little boy, and that the little boy and the suspect are believed to be calm?
It is. It's an excellent indication, and the fact that he's allowing medication means that he's functioning with some degree of cohesion. He's not completely psychotic. He's taking certain safety considerations, which is a very positive sign. But there's also intent here, which shows his willingness to have killed people. He killed a bus driver, so obviously he's incredibly dangerous. And which is why a tactical option in this situation has to be something that's taken very seriously, because of the fact that this could turn from something that's very quiet into something that could become very explosive in a matter of seconds. So this time in the slowing down process is really positive. Hopefully they can get him to come out, but I'm certain that there's other things going on in the woodworks if that's not a possibility right now.
Yeah, they'll have many plans in order. Aaron, thank you so much for your expertise. The suspect is reportedly a loner, a survivalist who, quote, does not trust the government. This is according to a source who spoke with NBC, and who holds anti-American views. More on this as we get it.